about
You know, we're gonna
certain
pop in Mondays. Y'all know we go
at
an
least
hour
longer.
today. The 5 minutes has passed. I just want everybody. I want to ask everybody a question. What do y'all think judgment is when it comes to relationship? Like, how do y'all define being judged? So, Darrell, Jasmine, or
Jessica.
you could all answer the question. I could even respond, to other people's responses within the chat.
So Jessica said, I feel like being judged is a starting point for a deeper conversation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's
Yeah.
That's definitely a great summary of what judgment does. We'll give time for everybody else, and then we'll dive in, because I do like the way you position that response.
Jasmine says, being judged is based on the criteria of who you said you are, what you bring to the relationship, what you agree to within the relationship, and what overall you be held accountable for.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll just wait for Darrell.
Well, while we wait, is everybody in a comfortable place to become panelists if they have to be? Who will want to be? You raise your hand, and then we'll know, so we'll just bring you on when it's time. We could just bring you on when it's time.
Jasmine says she won't be a panelist today.
Okay.
Darrell says being judged is the standard or accountability you're being held to. And Jessica said she won't because Joey's still awake.
Okay. So that's smooth. We're still gonna have the discussion. We appreciate y'all for showing up. We're trying to have
Darrell.
Yes, man. So when it's time, we'll make sure we bring you on. We'll have a discussion with you as well. But let's just set it off. In our society, a lot of us are quick to say, we don't want to be judged, or don't judge me, and don't make a determination based on an action. But when we look at the people that are saying it, it's usually people that are, breaking a promise. They're usually the people that's breaking a law, breaking a promise, they're breaking something that was already bonded, an agreement that was bonded together. And, the judgment, like Jessica said, starts a deeper discussion. Like Jasmine said, is based on the criteria within the relationships you signed on for. So a lot of people are going into relationships not really setting the criteria. So when it is time to place judgment, and let's be clear here, judgment just means making decisions based on information provided.
Mm-hmm.
So, or the agreement that was, the fact that two people came to agreement, two or more people came to agreement, so they're honoring those agreements, and you're being judged based on those agreements. Anytime you break those agreements, obviously a discussion needs to be had, and you can possibly lose your relationship due to it. So you go in a relationship understanding that you signed on to actually honor an agreement between two or more people.
Or it's also too just going outside of who you say you are. Mm-hmm. So you're being judged based on who you say you are. And if you go outside of that, then a discussion is going to take place, or someone's going to call you out on it because it goes outside of the person that you presented, or the person that you say you are, the person that you want to be. You all make judgment calls when it comes to that as well.
Definitely. We make judgment calls in picking the people that's in our lives.
Yeah, it starts with that, actually.
You got to really question, have you ever had an ex? So when it leaves your mouth, you're like, don't judge me. But when you had an ex, or you have an ex-friend, they're not your friends anymore. And that was based on a judgment call.
Yeah.
So when you're the person that obviously is letting the person go, obviously saying I got to distance myself from you, it's okay. But typically, when we're the ones that the person is distancing themselves from, now we want to guilt them into actually sticking around. When we have to have sound arguments, we have to make sure that we honor and we're humble when we go wrong. And a lot of people just, use the cliche and they shortcut it and like, don't judge me. I mean, what do y'all think about that? I mean, have you ever been in relationships where, or have you ever been the people that's asking somebody not to judge you?
Or withhold information because you don't want someone to judge you.
Oh, definitely. I think that's
That's a big one.
yeah, that's good. Have you ever held back just because you feared the judgment that will come with it?
I have.
Definitely.
Jessica said I have. Darrell said, "Yep."
What were some of the reasons y'all?
Yeah.
What were some of the reasons that y'all decided to hold back? Man, it's 11 minutes in. Darrell, instead of typing, we'll just bring you on, and Jessica and Jasmine
Jasmine.
can type. So Darrell, you on?
So how you doing?
In real time. When I say real time, I just mean on camera. So go ahead. What were some of the reasons you ran from that judgment?
Well, I mean, in a previous relationship, you did something it was wrong, or whatever the case may be, and you're in a new relationship, and you don't want to open up to the person because deep down inside that person's going to judge you for what happened before, so you try to hide it, and you don't want to be forthcoming.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Okay. But if you're going in a relationship fully who you are,
mm-hmm.
all the bruises and the bumps and the scars, and you're willing to have a long-term relationship with this person, whether it be a friend or a partner, why not give them everything it takes to make their determination? Because that's what judgment is. So I need to know your past. I need to know what you want in the future, and I need to know who you are presently.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about that? Like, how do you handle that now?
I mean, how I handle it now is being forthcoming and letting the person who you're dating or you're talking to, just be upfront about everything. Like, so I'll give you an example. Previously, so I have exes. I mean, we all have exes, and some exes, I try to stay friends with. Like I try to, be friends with. I try not to cut off that attachment, and sometimes it may have crossed the line. It may have been disrespectful to the person that I'm with, not wanting to cut ties with the ex, because sometimes, well, yeah, that's basically what it is. Sometimes it may have crossed the line. It may have been disrespectful to the person that I'm with, not wanting to cut ties with the ex, because sometimes, well, yeah, that's basically what it is. Sometimes it may have crossed the line.
I hear you double.
Yeah, that was my fault. I'm sorry. So you didn't want to be judged based on your old past relationships.
Yeah.
You didn't want to be judged like what did you do in your past relationships that you felt you could not over, because you obviously know starting all over, that now you have a clean slate. So you also know that as people we evolve, we get stronger, we get better, hopefully. I'm gonna say I can't even say people because we're all people, but the progressive people actually evolve and actually grow from each experience and actually now hopefully become better suited for the next person they're with. Right? So in doing that, do you not say, listen, I messed up on this end, I did this wrong, I learned from this situation, I cheated, I lied, I did all these things, and allowed a person to see all the things that you have done in your past in the human being you are today. Because admitting those things is giving them choice, allowing them to see if they want to go on with somebody who actually might have cheated on somebody or might have lied to somebody, the type of human being you are, and get some background on you just so they can make a sound decision to move forward with you. Because once you're looking at it like like you're scared to be judged, right? But how we look at it is it's an opportunity for a person to fully understand everything we come with. So the outsiders can't destroy who we are. So an ex can't come out of nowhere and give my new partner, information that I haven't given my new partner. A old friend can't come into my new friends and give them information I didn't already provide to my new friends. I might have been a slime ball in my past. At the same time, if I gave them all the ammunition they need or all the quote unquote, information they need to make a decision, then they made that determination and they understand who I was, and they understand who I want to be, and they're presently seeing who I am.
Yeah, the conversation is a lot different. The way that you tell your story of who you are, who you were, it really changes how you relay that story if you really truly are not that person anymore.
So Jessica, let me see. I see Jessica, she wrote a comment.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to it.
So it's because she didn't want to overwhelm him. She wanted to see if they were compatible before giving all the details about her child. So, well, your child is a part of you. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I understand you probably know better now, but at the end of the day, you got to understand all the details, everything. Overwhelm them by all means. Overwhelm them. Any person that can't deal with who you are presently, they're not ready for who you're going to be later on. So,
But that's true compatibility, actually, is by putting it all out there.
definitely. So we already, I mean, a lot of dating advice out there, and a lot of ways people always talk about entering relationships that's mainstream and everybody's doing it is hold back, put your best foot forward, and hold back, and it's all for instant gratification.
Mm-hmm.
It's all to get in the door and have as many people in your house, or have as many people in your home, or as many people as at your beck and call. Like, let's be honest, we built a society on networking now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's truly friends anymore and who's truly partners anymore. Everybody's using somebody or misusing people to
To get
actually
what they want.
is to call on them when they need them for their expertise. Now, let's be clear, when you do build a group, it is based on expertise. Like, if you're not needed in a group, you're going to feel overwhelmed, or you're going to feel isolated, or you're going to feel like you don't have a place. So we all are building a life with people that actually provide something for us. At
Mm-hmm.
the same time, we also should provide something for them. It
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be a vehicle from one move to the next move to the next move. You know what I mean? We have some people on Facebook that's, chiming in.
Yeah, so Coco Hana said there's always going to be judgment, whether it's a little or a lot. It's how the person will react to that judgment. Absolutely. Chi Reese, I hope I got that right. She agrees with that. And she also says, give a person, based on what Darrell said, give the person a chance to decide how they want to respond versus assuming their response. Yeah, that's really important. We should put everything out there, because if a person is truly a good match for you, then you should be able to put everything out there, and they would be able to make a decision that makes sense for them and for the couple in general. So you never want to start off a relationship not putting everything on the table, because you guys could be compatible in 5 of the 10 things, but you need the 10 in order to have a solid foundation, and that's really important. So to Jessica, like with your son, like, it doesn't matter how compatible you guys are without your son. When you include your son, if you guys are not compatible, then all that time that you guys spent will go out the window, because I highly doubt that you're going to date a man who's not going to accept what you have going on with your son. So it's really important you don't want to scare anyone off, but the reality is that a lot of us have children, we have things. So we need to make sure that when we're connecting with people, that they are okay with those things as well.
Definitely. I mean, the old saying is pressure bust pipes. And really the people you want in your life is people that aren't broken by that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody runs from the test and everybody runs from all that comes with that. But at the end of the day, you want people who can stand the test of time and
Mm-hmm.
can deal with the life. And I'm talking about life like cancer, people passing away, like things that happen that are out of control.
You're
That
not pushing people away on purpose.
going out cheating and
Mm-hmm.
closing up and not really talking and being
Yeah.
full of yourself and starting to drink and acquire addiction. Like those are things that are self-inflicted. Those are things that are selfish choices. Those are things where you still believe, quote unquote, believe that you join friendships and you join relationships, romantic relationships, believing that you still should make choices based on what you want
Mm-hmm.
versus what's best for the group and what's best for the team. And that's what a lot of us are taught that. Like it's perpetuated, like get your own. But it's a lot of hurt. We're raised by a lot of hurt people.
And scared people.
And, yeah, and like they're scared for our
Mm-hmm.
well-being. So they're giving us bad advice based on the fact that they're happily ever after didn't work out, or they're based on the fact that their quote unquote fantasy didn't work out. But understand, we all live in this fantasy. We all make decisions and we all decide our existence. So based on who you have around you, your life is going to look completely different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, based on who you let in your life's going to look completely different. If you got a person who's always making poor decisions and always has drama in their life, I mean, you're going to have a life full of drama. You in a group full of people who protect their group, making sure that they align, making sure that they make sound decisions, making sure that they always building and never destroying, then you're gonna sit on top of a palace. So it's gonna be harder to relate to the common person, which I think all of us wanna be in that place where, not saying we can't relate to the common person, but at the same time, if the commonality or the common person is a person that loves drama and loves to stay in a place where they're going in circles, then yeah, you don't want to relate to those people. They'll drain your relationship, they'll drain you, and you look back 20 years of it and realize you didn't get no further because you hung around people who weren't willing to put in what you was willing to put in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Darrell, what you think of that?
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying, and I mean, I agree. You know, I definitely agree with both of you guys are saying. I'm just listening, trying to take in my detail from you guys. I mean, I appreciate it, so I definitely agree with what you're saying, 100%.
Definitely. So Jasmine,
Well, she agreed with us about it being about what Jessica said. Is she said because even being compatible, if you didn't want to be involved with your child, then it wouldn't last anyway. So she agrees with that. Unfortunately, Jessica had to leave, but we'll catch Jessica another time.
Well, the one thing I did want to say is, I mean, so I get what you mean, and I 100% get what you say when you say, you know what, you should be forthcoming about your past, whatever the case may be. But I also get a person who be like, you know what, I want to bury that person because I'm not that person anymore. I want to move forward and be a different person. So therefore, I don't know. I don't want to really reveal everything about my past because I want to move forward. So I understand both sides of the spectrum, but
But
those.
the first starter of burying that person is to acknowledge that that person actually existed. And it starts with that. So you have to acknowledge that that person exists. You can't bury the person totally because that person is who you were. So to show true growth, you have to say, this is where I was before, this is where I am now. It's like weight loss. It's like in order for you to really determine if somebody lost weight, you want the before and after is what? I was 150 pounds, 2 months ago. Now I'm 120. You know what I mean? Like you will still want to show the heavier person because you want to show what? Progress. So I think that that's what, when it comes to relationships or who you were before and the mistakes that you made in the past, you should still acknowledge it because that would really tell another person. I know for a person like me or Aziz or, I think it would show a person if you truly did grow from that situation. Because your mentality will be different, your vocabulary will be different, the way you talk about that person will be different. You can say, this is, I used to be a knucklehead and I did X, Y, and Z and I learned from that, and so on and so forth, and that shows who you are today. So I think that it's important. So burying it is not a sign to show that you want to get rid of that person. Actually, that's a sign of immaturity. When you are mature and you really want to connect with people, you really take the time to express who you were so that everyone has a clear understanding of who you were and why you are the man you are today.
Oh, let me just be clear. I wasn't saying that, that's the approach I'm taking.
But you use you as an example, so I
Yeah,
did. It's
yeah.
fine.
No, I mean, he said that he understands it. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, people mix up understanding and I agree. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about honoring agreement. So we all take in information and we all understand where the person's coming from because we all been afraid. We all been scared of loss. We all been there. But really, who do you want to go through life with? Courageous people.
Yeah.
So give your full story. Like, I can tell my full story and I've been judged. I've been a kid doing a lot of criminal things. I've been a kid that's did wrong things. I've been a kid who stole from a fruit stand. I've been a kid, like, I'm going to tell you exactly what you're getting into, but that's how it was when I was a kid. As a grown person, I frown upon all of that. So I'm not going to sit there and say, yo, because I've been there, I understand where you're coming from, but I'm not marching with you.
Right. I think that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, based on where you at, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not hanging out with my younger self.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we're not in the same place. We're not progressing. Yeah, now we can look at the man I became and we can go through all that. But really, right now, in the present time, you only can hang out with like minds and you leave your door open for the people who actually evolve and then they become like-minded and then you add them to the team. But you can't bring a virus in your set.
Yeah.
You do that to everybody that you're around. So make sure you pick people that are great. And it takes judgment to do that. It takes sound judgment. It takes, like, the judgment everybody talks about and the judgment everybody mixes up is, do we have the right to kill a person? Like, the extreme of it. Do we have the right to take a life? That's the extreme of it. But when it comes to our personal relationships, do we have the right to cut whoever we want off? Definitely. Do we have the right to decide who's in our lives? Definitely. Do we have the right not to talk to family members? Definitely. We have all the rights in the world. You know what I mean? Who do you want to base your relationships on? What kind of relationships do you want? Things of that nature. That's what you want to look at.
So back to Facebook, Chi said that the past made you who you are today, so it's important to acknowledge your starting point. Yeah, we agree with that. And judgment is something just as simple as I could meet a guy and he sees me around my kid and he realizes that although I tell him the type of parent I am, when he sees me in action, he's not a fan. He makes a judgment call based on my parenting skills. He thinks that that's not something that he wants to sign up for. If we had a kid together, that's not the way he would want to raise his kid, but he really likes me. But he makes the judgment call and he decides, you know what, I can't really mess with you because I don't like who you are as a parent, and that's okay.
So so I got a question about that. So what if someone says only God can judge me? Well, why are you judging me? How would you respond to that?
I think that would be a myth.
Yeah, I agree. I would have the same. I would say that in order for us to connect, I'm gonna make decisions on who you are, and that's a judgment call. So to say only God could judge me is just, I mean, I'm gonna say, who are you, Tupac? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna say something, to that extent, and just say that it's silly for that person, for the person to think that that's not the reality, because we all make judgments.
Definitely, we have a relationship, and in relationships, like, even if you bring God up, we have a relationship with God. God is judging us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So therefore, we are made in God's image. So therefore, we're going to judge everybody who's not walking towards God. Still the same thing. Why are you walking with people who aren't walking towards God, who's holding you back? The whole point is you're putting people you're bringing people in your life to walk together, side by side. Now, the more somebody does something wrong and hurt the relationship, the more you're walking by yourself and them behind you. The distance is being created. So the thing is, you wake up every day understanding who you're walking with. So if you know you're walking with people who walk fast, you're going to make sure you wake up understanding you need to be in great shape. Are you going to feel the pressure? Yeah, because they walk fast. You slip, they keep walking. Like, that's a part of it. And you might have to run. You might have to increase your speed. But that's what being humble is. That's what being having humility is. It's understanding I went wrong. Understanding, like, I got to do better. So I got to put in more work to get back to even, because I stole from these people. So judgment just allows you to take accountability. You know what I mean? The person's letting you know what they're going to stand for, what they're not going to stand for.
So yeah, so when I'm to back to your question too, yeah, if I meet a person that said only God could judge me, it leads me to believe that that person doesn't want to be held accountable when it's convenient for them.
Yeah, that, I mean, so that basically you took the words out of my mouth, because I've been in situations before where, you know, I think the whole group I'm with know what's going on is wrong, and I may say, we probably shouldn't do this, or maybe we should move in this direction, and someone say, "Yeah, who are you, God? Like only God can judge me," something like that, like something to that nature.
Yeah, I mean, we already know that they use God as a defense at that point.
Yeah.
If only God can judge, how you know whether God wouldn't judge you at this particular time?
He probably
How you
is.
know God is not using me to judge you? There's so many questions that can keep coming up. And then
Mm-hmm.
it becomes this big philosophy class. I'm just saying, you know that you can't walk down the line with that person at that particular time. So you make a judgment call.
Mm-hmm.
You decide what you're going to do. And if they decide to keep going in the same direction, then you just tell them, I can't go with you. I can't be on that journey with you. So, and then once they add that, they take away your voice.
Yeah.
So now you're going to feel uncomfortable saying the next thing to them. So they have all the words and you can't say much because you're always the judging person or the judgmental person. When you're around like minds, judgment is accepted.
Yeah.
Called constructive criticism. You know what I
But
mean?
that's what I was gonna say too. Like when I meet new people, that's one of the questions I do ask them is, when you think of judgment, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Because that's an indicator on how we're gonna connect. If they think that judgment is a negative thing and believes that no one has the right to judge, then 9 out of 10 times we probably wouldn't have a strong connection. But if a person says, I look at judgment as constructive criticism, even though judgment, when you're doing something wrong or when you're doing something out of character and someone's putting you in your place or calling you out on something, it never feels good, right? But when it's all said and done, you do appreciate that's what you stand for, that's what you want. So you kind of fight through the emotion of it not feeling good to get the message. And those are the type of people that I want to be around, and those are the conversations that I want to have with people, because if they believe the total opposite, then we're never gonna really be in a place where we're gonna have a strong foundation.
Definitely. And like he said, like there's a difference between unhealthy and healthy counsel.
Mm-hmm.
So when like healthy is like eat your vegetables,
Yeah.
stay in shape. All them things is hard to do. All them things is hard to maintain for a lifetime. You like, I want to eat what I want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all what we want to selfishly do. So we tend to now push people away based on what we want to selfishly do. But if we look in the mirror and say we pushing this person that's actually giving us great advice away, we got to really look in the mirror and see who we are as human beings.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody's like, do the right thing, go back to your wife, apologize. You messed up. Put in that work. Don't think you're gonna get it in a month. It might take a year. But if that's the person you want to be with, get on your hands and knees and make it happen.
Yeah.
Somebody might say that's your friend. If that's your friend and that person's had your back for year after year after year, and now you decide based on feeling judged, they're acting all the time. They acting in your best interest all the time. And you go for feeling, and then you tell them they make you feel a certain way, then they distance themselves based on the fact that you're trying to control them with how you feel versus what's actually happening. They're gonna create that distance, and you're the healthy counsel. But unfortunately, the healthy counsel in a society that tells you it's okay to go out and drink and it's okay to, like, there's a lot of okays that aren't beneficial to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when you go against that, obviously you become the rebel. Obviously you become the person that's going against the societal norms.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously they'll have a bunch of cheerleaders and you'll be standing alone, but it is healthy counsel.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to get them to be the best they can be. And based on, what I see Jasmine just wrote, he basically said, why wouldn't you want to be with somebody who held you accountable?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be the best you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? How can you grow otherwise?
Yeah, Chi on Facebook said the same thing. When you're around like minds, judgment is accepted. She said the same thing. She agrees with that as well.
So you have to look people in the face and like, are we on the same page? Do we have the same? Because everybody says we need to accept differences. You understand what that means? Accepting differences. Accepting differences, we got to coexist on this world together. What makes you my friend and what makes you my partner is because we have so much in common. Even our differences make us common.
Yeah.
Our differences allow us to advance.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't do certain things well, but you do them well, we are different, but we have the same goal. So that them two things together helps us propel to that next goal, that next achievement. You know, if we want to go get a house together, we both saving money. We're on the same page. You can't be saving money and I'm spending money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's cute to say differences. Yeah, we have to accept differences. I don't want to see a guy who did wrong once in their life and they have to go to jail and pay for that one time. When they come out, they condemn for that one time. Of course, we're gonna have compassion. We're gonna have an understanding. We're gonna have a understanding of time served. So you want to be a compassionate human being, but at the same time, you also might not walk with that person based on their past, and that's your right. You know what I'm saying? So condemning a person, as a human being, and condemning a person as a person that you have a personal relationship. You have a personal relationship with. Excuse me. Is two different things. Personal
Mm-hmm.
relationship is a strong choice because these people affect you directly on a day-to-day. They represent you directly on a day-to-day. So everything they do, you do.
Yeah.
Everything they go out and do, people are going to look at you the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to, be clear on that understanding.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's people get so caught up in, you know, especially when they're rejected and we make a decision not to deal with certain people, the first thing that they think of is, who they think they are to judge us. But we have a right if we don't have much in common, or we want to make the one thing that we don't like about the person and we decide that we don't want to get any closer, that's okay. And I think that we should all be a little bit more comfortable with that and understand that we're not going to connect on everything. We're not going to be friends with everyone. We're not going to be around everyone. You know what I mean? We're not going to just date anybody. And so that's okay. And when we hear it, instead of thinking about how our ego is bruised and we may feel a way, just think about, that person has choice and they didn't choose me, and that's okay.
And part two is if you really believe that that person is going to help you become a better person, you can help them become a better person, and they possibly don't see it yet. Like,
Mm-hmm.
put in the work. It's
Yeah.
okay to put in the work. Everybody's worrying about how they are perceived,
Mm-hmm.
like how they look. Oh, you look thirsty, or you look like you're stressing this person, or you look like a stalker. I'm like, at the end of the day, there is an approach. Like, yeah, stalking it's a thin line.
It can be. What do you mean?
Yeah.
That stalking
No,
is
it's a thin
stalking.
line. I mean, it could be a thin line. What stalking to one person is not stalking another person.
I mean, there's
So it could be a thin
persistent
line.
and there's stalking.
Yeah, it is consistent in this stalking.
There's
But
persistence.
persistence.
Yes, and stalkings. There's two, like,
They are two different things. But what I'm saying is they get blurred, just like judgment gets blurred. So that's what I'm saying. It gets blurred. So like you hitting homegirl's phone up, like trying to talk to, keep throwing, shooting your shot, as they say, right?
that's
And
being
we look at
persistent.
that being persistent. We look at that as dude stalking.
No.
I didn't
Stalking
watch.
is, no, hold up.
We
Stalking,
know stalking illegally is something else, right? But the point is, I didn't watch people show somebody their phone and say, "Look at this dude stalking me." I'm saying it gets used loosely. So what I'm saying is, there's a healthy way to look at it, and there's an unhealthy way to look at it. That's all I'm saying. Like, you act like you live in a society that uses definitions and has a clear understanding of these definitions.
I think
I
we
mean,
can.
I agree with that. I was just saying that stalking is like homeboy is texting, and then he just happens to appear at your soul cycle class.
Well, I'm
Like,
with that
that's
too.
stalking.
I'm with that. We all could agree on that. But at the end of the day, you act like everybody has a great understanding of what stalking is. I watch people blow somebody else's phone up, and when somebody they don't like blow their phone up, they calling them a stalker, but they're not a stalker. Like, you act like we live in a land absent of hypocrites.
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm just making sure we don't blur lines. I'm saying be persistent. Go after what you want. If you believe something's worth it, then put in the work. Sometimes rejection is rejection, but sometimes you gotta be persistent. I just wanted to put that out.
But speaking
You're
of
gonna be judged for that. You're definitely gonna be judged for that, but you gotta be strong enough to accept that judgment.
Yeah, and I think, but on the other end, I think when you have someone who's persistent and you're really not interested, the person on the other end needs to be honest as well. And I think that that's where it gets a little weird too, because you don't want, the person on the other end doesn't want to hurt the other one's feelings, and they see that they really do, that the person likes, you know, the other person, and they don't want to come off as the bad guy. But really, if you tell someone, hey, I'm not really interested, and they still continue, then maybe that's an issue. But a lot of times people continue to send those messages and you know, send them things to their job or whatever the case may be, because they're not really drawing that line in the sand saying, hey, I'm not interested.
Situation happen.
Well, real quick.
Job
So, I mean, just to go back to, because one of y'all said something about being hypocritical, and as far as judgment. So, you know, we have a right to judge whatever the case may be. But at the same time, the partner who, I mean, so I've been in situations before, so I guess I'm speaking from experience, where I'm judging, I'm holding the person accountable. But when it's time for the other person to be held accountable, they got something like, they got a problem with that. So if you are judging and trying to hold your partner accountable, it needs to be reciprocal. Yeah, like you both need to understand that judgment comes both ways. It goes in and out. You guys have to be able to hold each other accountable, but at the same time accept constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
But what would you consider accepting of constructive criticism?
I mean, so to kind of go back to what you said, if you and I have an agreement, right, and I break that agreement, okay, I deserve to be judged. Like, you need to hold me accountable.
Definitely.
So I guess I'm talking about accountability. If I call my partner out, the perception needs to be, I'm trying to hold you to a higher standard so we can get through this together. So basically what I'm just saying is, if someone's judging me, holding me accountable, that person needs to be, be accepting and being held accountable too. I've been in plenty of situations before where it wasn't necessarily a two-way street. If I tried to hold this person accountable, it would be an argument, as opposed to me accepting responsibility. 99.9% of the time, I always try. If I'm wrong and you hold me accountable, I try to say, you know what, I'm sorry. I need to be better, whatever the case may be. But I've been in situations before where it wasn't the case with both parties.
But what is the argument? The argument is, how dare you hold me accountable, or they're arguing the thing that you're holding them accountable for?
I feel like, so from my experience, the person I'm talking about, I mean, it was always, if I'm being called out or if I'm being held accountable, I have to look at myself in the mirror or look at myself and say, you know what, I'm wrong, or I could have did this better, as opposed to trying to be argumentative, trying to go back and forth, whatever the case may be. Like, in my opinion, everything doesn't have to be an argument. You know what I'm saying? Things don't always have to be a debate. If wrong is wrong and right is right.
So you're saying that when someone's calling you out on something, you can see exactly why they're calling you out on it. You acknowledge it. You see where you went wrong. You apologize. You move on. You're saying with other people, at times you call them out on it. They don't see why they don't understand why you're calling them out.
Right. So yeah, kind of. So I'm not gonna sit up here and say whenever I was called out that I was always 100% receptive and I didn't try to talk about it and until I felt where they were coming from. But what I'm saying is, I'm okay with being wrong. I'm okay with uncomfortability as long as it's respectful. If I'm wrong, let me know what's wrong. It doesn't have to be an argument.
Okay. So first off, an argument is anytime two people have conflicting beliefs. So that's an argument. So as soon as you call me out, I don't agree with you, we're gonna argue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's healthy. That's actually healthy. Like, if they don't really see it from that point on, you gotta be willing to put in that work. This is a relationship you're in for a lifetime. Like, you're gonna argue, you're not gonna see eye to eye in certain instances, and a part of that judgment. And when you are saying being hypocritical, the only way I would say they're being a hypocrite is if they expect you not to argue with them when they're calling you out and that you don't see it.
Yeah, I was trying to get
but when
a
it's
gauge
when
on
it's
that.
the practice of holding each other accountable, don't believe just because you walked home and had this idea and then walked in the house and decided to bring up the idea, the person's like gonna just accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's not how that works. You got to be willing to put in go through the back and forth, have the conflict, and see how y'all end up on the other end.
Yeah.
We always have conflict. Conflict is a daily practice between two people with minds that obviously are not. When we say like-minded, it doesn't mean that you're going to be aligned on a lot.
Everything. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, everything doesn't have to be an argument. We can use broad things like that, but there's a lot of things that we do need to argue about. And holding people accountable is one of them things, going in, you're going to have to put in some type of work. Because if they seen it on their own, they would have just came to you.
Yeah, that too.
So the fact that you called them out and they ain't come to you, they're going to argue that because they don't see it. So in your mind, the relation, and it could be accurate. The reason why you're calling them out is on point, and you got clear guidelines, you got clear understandings. That's cool. But at the end of the day, you have to understand that might come with conflict. And that's where a lot of people are scared.
But I'm glad that you touched on that too.
Go ahead.
I'm glad that you touched on the argument part of it, because arguments get a bad rap. When you argue, it gets a bad rap, right? Everyone wants to avoid them. It's never comfortable. Say that again.
No, I said that's me all day long.
People want to avoid it. As soon as things get a little confrontational, they're like, I don't want to deal with this. You're too much for me right now. But in order for people to get on the same page, it's sometimes needed. And to what she said on Facebook, she's basically saying that as long as it's respectful. So that goes back to when you're even connecting with people, how communicating in a respectful way is a criteria. You know what I mean? It's something that you guys both agree to. So it's not going to be like being disrespectful, calling people out of their names and just being mean, like fighting dirty. Like, that's not what we're talking about. But having a disagreement and not being on the same page, and two people are passionate because they want to still continue to connect, is okay. And I think that was really good for you to bring up, Aziz, because that's one thing that a lot of people avoid, is the argument.
So I guess with me, and I'll give you a brief experience. The person I was with before, I guess I was afraid of the word argument. You understand what I'm saying? Because in my opinion, there's, I guess, good and bad arguments. Some arguments are good. They're respectful. Tone of voice is down. See, the thing is with me, and I guess this goes with me being the teacher, you know what I'm saying? If you screaming at me, you're going to shut me all the way down. If I'm not screaming at you, why are you screaming at me? If I'm not yelling at you, why are you yelling at me? To me, that's not effective communication. Mm-hmm. If two adults should be able to sit down, have a disagreement or have an argument, whatever the case may be, but it's respectable. Even if I agree to disagree, you should be able to walk, away calmly, and I can walk away calmly. That's where I'm coming from.
Hit the trigger for us.
Yeah, agree to disagree is a problem.
Especially so I can't take somebody yelling at me. If you're yelling at me, there's nothing you're saying to me is registered. It's going in one ear and out the other. I'm not worrying about nothing. I'm telling you, fix your tone. You're not gonna come. You're not talking to me like that. That's just where I don't know.
You go into a whole different space.
Yeah, because it doesn't necessarily have to go there. Like, I could be raising my voice. I'm not yelling at you. I could be cursing. I'm not cursing at you. There's a difference, and we know the difference.
Yeah, I'm saying that there's just a lot of things in the dialogue. Let's look at this. When we talk about respect, we have relationship building services, right? And our builders come to us and we talk to them about spiritual words. Try to stay away from spiritual words when you're having discussions. Be a lot more direct. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about respect is different to whoever defines it the way they define it. That's what we mean by a spiritual word. So you're like, as long as it's respectful. Yeah. Well, I think it's respectful to have a hard discussion with somebody that's yelling at me if they're passionate. If they're not calling me out my name, they're not taking away from the argument, but they're very passionate about their point, I can hear everything they're saying. Why? Because I want to actually get to the other side. I want to actually make sense out of things. Mm-hmm. I want to actually resolve it. So that passion is what it takes, because in the midst of that passion, there's a lot of energy being burnt that needs to come out. Mm-hmm. So I still understand that that's also a situation. So it's about having the listening skills.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
here's
not
what.
get caught up in the tone, not get caught up in the volume, not get caught up in all of that, because then you guys start arguing about something other than what you were supposed to be arguing for anyway. Like it distracts the argument.
So here's what. Okay, so here's my question, or I guess statement. Like, all right, you guys are both very intelligent individuals, right? So my thing is this: why can't we have a conversation without cursing? No matter how upset we are,
We could have
no
a
matter what the
We
case.
could.
have a conversation without cursing, but when somebody's passionate about something, then you have an understanding that within the passion of a discussion, people are going to really, really have, because I'm a very calm person. Let's go with this. I'm very calm. And it comes off to other people as condescending.
Mm-hmm.
You can't win to lose. So like at the end of the day, who's the person sitting in front of you is what you need to evaluate. If I'm talking to somebody who talks loud, speaks loud, and they always get their point across in a loud way, I'm going to look at who they are.
Yeah, their
I'm not
intention.
looking at what I
Mm-hmm.
want and what I want them to be. I'm going to look exactly who I'm looking at. And most people around me are very passionate people. So when we have a debate and we go back and forth, everybody hear us going back and forth. I don't care how intelligent we are. They hear us, the passion in our voice. They hear my brain is going crazy right now. But
they hear the passion. They hear the fight.
that's what I
Yeah.
mean. Conviction in my tone. They hear the conviction in the other person's tone. But we all are trying to find out where we can actually walk together. That's the overall. Once that is lost, that's when I'm now telling everybody we need to back up some. Because when we start losing focus of the destination, I think that's when the problem is. It has nothing to do with tone. It has nothing to do with me telling a person how they should act and how they should respond and no, it has everything to do with what's the destination, where are we trying to go. And that should be established in the beginning. Just like Jasmine said, a lot of these discussions should be had in the beginning of every relationship.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
They should be had in the beginning of every relationship. So when you have a situation, like you said, agree to disagree, that's when I said you then push the button. Because agree to disagree leaves us on separate sides of the room. We could be walking parallel.
It's like putting a Band-Aid on the relationship.
Disagree until we agree. Meaning we want to be on the same page. We want to walk side by side. And to do that, there's no agreeing to disagree.
Okay.
That means I just lost the energy to continue to have a discussion with you. So I'm walking with you, but I'm not really fucking with you.
On that particular issue.
Yeah.
On that particular issue.
I'm never going to be rocking with you.
Yeah.
So like when it comes to that particular issue, I'm falling back every time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's where the divide happens.
Our relationship just changed right off of that because we didn't want to put in the work to find common ground.
Yeah.
That's what it takes to make a relationship work. It's not about being a clone, but it is about being like-minded, and it's about walking side by side. So it is about having the same destination. The whole key is to get there together. And I always give the analogy of a restaurant. If we want to eat together, me and you said we're going to go out to eat together, but we want different things. The point is to eat together. So you could want shrimp and I could want hamburgers, and they don't sell hamburgers at the shrimp spot you want to go to. They don't sell shrimp at the hamburger spot I want to go to. What we gonna do? We're not gonna agree to disagree. Agree to disagree leaves us at two different restaurants.
We're gonna figure out
find something that sells hamburger and shrimp, or we're gonna find a meal we both want, and we're gonna end up there. That's called compromise.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right.
So that's what we always tell people. It's so easy. It's a very easy thing to be cliche. It's very easy to see the perspective of everybody that you come in contact with. Everybody that you come in contact with is not really about building healthy relationships. If healthy and normal were the same thing, the world wouldn't need people like us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are two different things. They wouldn't need people that personal trainers. They wouldn't need none of that stuff. What's the norm is not healthy. It's just normal. What norm is average. It's easy. Take it from somebody who got C's in school because it was easy. Like I could walk into class and just get them. So I was an average student, so I know what average people look like. You get what I'm saying? So let's be clear here. And that's me being accountable. You see, like I know when you saying this to me, that's the first thing I'm thinking, not of you right now, but I'm just saying in general with a person. it's like you're trying to give me an average. You're trying to give me an average response. You're trying to give me average dedication. You want to lose me? Give me average dedication.
Mm-hmm.
I can guarantee you that I'm out. Because I deserve your best, and you deserve my best.
Mm-hmm.
And judgment is going to allow us to both give our best, because we know we are going to be judged
Mm-hmm.
on what we do on a regular basis.
And we welcome it.
Our feet is under fire all the time. And that's what makes a healthy relationship. The fact that you know you can lose it just by making one weird move. You can lose it. That's a healthy relationship. Anything, all this other stuff you ride or die and you hear and all, that's not healthy relationship. That's maintaining.
Yeah.
That's because I love him so much. That's when you love the person and not the principles.
Mm-hmm.
You fell in love with the person, so you can't see yourself without that person. So you disregarded your principles you came in a relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big difference. And then you see 20 years in, you're a shell of yourself. You're looking in the mirror. You're older. And you're realizing like, damn, I done wasted this amount of years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Complacency. You get what I'm saying? But I'm not going to be complacent. So I'd rather be single than be complacent. I want somebody who, when we wake up, that person puts the fire underneath my feet. And at the same time, all the time, I know they're going to give me their best and I'm going to give them my best.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it's hard to give your best. So that's the bottom line on that. I mean, we got some more Facebook comments.
Yeah, I read most of them, but she said knowing each other's personality is really important. It is, and and revealing who you are is really important as well. Like Darrell being a person that doesn't like to, like you said, you didn't like to argue, you don't like, people speaking to you in a certain tone, cursing, all that stuff. That's important information for you to share with everyone you come into contact with personally.
Definitely.
Because that would gauge, that will allow a person to know whether they can really connect with you or not. I think that's really important. It goes both ways. It goes, in order for me to know if you and I could connect, I need to know what you don't like either, so that we can see if we are aligned when it comes to communication and conflict and all that stuff that doesn't make us feel good.
Definitely. I mean, if your bottom line is a healthy relationship, then it has nothing to do with the two people involved as much as it has to do with the two people, the principles, the two people.
Yeah, agreed. Mm-hmm.
That's going to be your health. Because when you don't want to get there, you set a bar to go running 3 miles, and you set that bar, you don't make it that 3 miles, you feel disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you should feel in your relationship. I want to wake up honoring this. That's why people lose their passion. That's why people lose their respect. That's why because they forget. Those are the things that allowed you to respect the person in the first place. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that allowed you to, to have the passion, the romance for the person in the first place. When you look at people that start trying to tear those things down, they start shortcutting and trying to take shortcuts. Then you see they're not ready for that long term. Because once you say I'm ready, you know that this is a lifelong commitment. This ain't a day thing. This ain't an hour thing. This ain't a month thing. This ain't a year thing. This is a lifelong commitment, whether it's with a friend or a partner. So I'm going to watch you. I'm going to show up for you when you having kids. I'm going to show up for you when you have a death. I'm going to show up for you. Like I'm showing up for you one way or another. Once I'm like, we're not friends no more. We're not on, like, you can't expect anything from me anymore. If I give it to you, there's a lot of people that will hit you up, right? Like out of nowhere, show you some care, right? They'll say, okay, I'm hitting them up. I want to make sure he's all right, but they're not dedicated every day.
No.
They're like family members.
Mm-hmm. That's
why we always say friendships and partnerships are, and when I mean partner, romantic partners are the foundation of your day to day. Because they're dedicated to you on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. You're somebody they think about when they wake up. Mm-hmm. So this is what I'm saying. Like, that's the understanding. And are you ready? That's what they say. Are you ready to lace up? Because we talk basketball, right? And if you're not ready to make it to the pros, you didn't put in the work. Mm-hmm. Like, you still decided to do what you wanted to do. I know I did. You know, I shortchanged my career. So I know I was still decent, you know what I mean? But I could have been better. So these are the things that you realize as you get older and you start taking accountability. You can look back on all the things that you did and didn't put work in. And then you know how it looks when somebody else is doing it to you.
Yeah, you do.
So it is a changing of a mentality. It's a changing of a mentality. Like the self-driven society we live in, we love as a group journey. We don't do the self thing. Are you ready? When you go in to get self-help, that's one thing. When you come in after you done with helping yourself, what are you willing to give back to build a relationship and a healthy relationship with people that you want to build a healthy relationship with? And judgment is one of them. Judgment is being raised to accept judgment. But we talked about the negative part of it. Judgment is also your attractive. That's a judgment. Judgment is also your great. That's a judgment. Judgment is also your consistent. That's a judgment.
I'm glad you said that because, I mean, me probably being a victim of it, when you think of the word judgment, you think of negativity, you think of condemnation, you think of wrong, you think of, something, like a red flag. You don't think of judgment as being a positive.
Definitely. It's just an assessment.
Right.
It's an opinion and making a decision based on an assessment. So every time I look at, homegirl look nice. She good looking. That was a judgment. You know what I mean? She speaks well. That's a judgment. She's dedicated. That's a judgment. All that is bringing me closer to you. And then there's a lot of push and pull, right? Then, but she's so intelligent. She lies to herself all the time. Pushing me back. But I'm bringing it up, so I'm not pushed back. So I'm at a standstill because now I'm figuring out, should I push back, fall back, or should I move forward? Because is she going to say, okay, I'm going to have to change that? That's all we're doing on a regular basis. And that's what people fear, the day-to-day work. That's all we're doing. Me and Jerry argue all the time, and we make decisions based on, can we be friends sometimes? Like, that's what happens. And we got to make a decision. Can we be friends? Can we continue doing this? Everybody talks about the years, but the years make or break you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, we've been together 20 years. And I said, okay, 20 years are great. That's good. 20 years of enduring bullshit is not. Like, how long are you going to endure this longer? There's two different ways of doing 20 years. A 20-year bid and a 20-year commitment is two different things.
Yeah.
A bid, you feel kind of like you have to do it. And a lot of people talk themselves into they're doing God's work. This is a marriage. I got to stay in it. I'm doing God's work to death do us part. I'm like, what? I'm going to stay in that's a death relationship. You're already dead. You're already dead. You're dying. Because the person is not willing to put in the same work. Understand, both people said to death do us part. We forget one person. We always put the relationship on one person. That why you leave, you should have stuck by. What happened to the other person that also said that? They made a promise not to put a lot of dirt in the relationship. So if you're always cleaning up that dirt for 20 years, you got to really look in the mirror at your self-respect. Don't make you a soldier. These are the things you think about. I'm judging you. Once you tell me that I've been with you 20 years, I'm like, I don't want your relationship. Like, no way, no how. I'm judging you. I'm not telling my kid that they should do that. I'm like, yo, if you gotta die single, die single. But at the same time, never leave with your self-respect. Go on the ground knowing what you look like. Because people can't find themselves. That's why when we leave relationships, we feel so empty. Because if we gave our all, you see people walk away and pick up a girl right after, or pick up a man right after. You're like, damn, how you do that? Because I gave my all, so I need to get back on track.
Yeah, you need to recover.
Now, my recovery is a little faster because I know what it takes. But at the same time, like, I'm hurt. There's not a time I'm in a relationship I'm not hurt. If I lose it, I don't know what a booty call feel like. You know what I mean? I don't know what just having a roundabout friend feel like. I'm in your ear every 5 seconds. Like, let's do this together. So, that's what happens. That's what happens. I mean, Jasmine just said something.
Yeah, she said that when you build into one and are held accountable from the judgments we created and essentially agreed to.
So, I mean, that's basically what we was just talking about.
And she said, Aziz, in your words, no days off.
Yes, I would agree.
But it all starts, like we said, having that conversation from the very beginning. Set the tone of the relationship that you want. See if the person that you're connecting with also believes in the same thing, and then taking it from there. But if you're with someone that doesn't want to be judged, or even if I meet someone who is afraid to judge me, that's a red flag for me.
Definitely.
So it starts off with that.
We just distance ourselves from being cool with people due to that, because they were they were apprehensive about putting judgment out there.
Yeah.
Like, put it out there. Like, it's okay. We'll get through it. We're strong enough. You think I'm ugly? Hey. Like, let's test whether I'm really vain or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if being ugly is the only reason I want to be your friend, then, I mean, vanity is my title. I can deal with the fact that you don't find me attractive. I'm cool. We can move past that, because I got more to me. You know what I mean? Like, there's more to me than just that. So I really believe in that type of, like, let's talk. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about me stinking. Let's talk about everything. I don't have no problem. You only benefit in me telling me what's wrong with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all. So that's how I'm taking it.
And the thing is too, like, when it doesn't come out, when you're not straightforward about it, it comes out in other ways. And that cripples the relationship as well, because you know that they're really telling you how they truly feel about you, and the way that they handle certain situations with you, how they deal with certain things with you. So I'd rather you pull the Band-Aid, tell me at the beginning, instead of it coming out in another way. Because then you're looking at that person like you don't really trust that they're going to be honest with you anyway.
So, Jerry, the first thing I just thought of when you said that, as far as the different ways, is passive aggressiveness. I hate that. I can't stand it. Please be direct with me. Let me know what it is. I can't stand passive aggressiveness. I can't
follow with it. Yeah, that's one of our pet peeves. We
Mm-hmm.
we did a whole podcast on 20 questions, and that was one of the things we.
Yeah, passive aggressiveness.
I hate
all
it.
of us agreed on that. Passive aggressive.
I'm getting mad right now thinking about it.
Yeah, we all of us are passive aggressive at times. It's like,
I agree.
Aggressive as your form of communication. It's different. Like, I'll crack jokes passive aggressively. I'll use it as a tactic to give you, like, we're in a group and I'm trying to, like, give you something quick that you only gonna get. I'll passive aggressively tell you it. Like, we all use different tactics, and that's one of the tactics. So nobody's exempt from certain things, but who you are as a person is what you show 85, 90% of the time. Like, I'm a direct person. I think people can tell that from the gate, but they know I use passive aggressiveness. They know I use other tactics that's going to, align with that. Jasmine has a question for Darrell.
So can you agree to disagree on passive aggressiveness?
Look, okay, so I fell in that trap. Hell no, you can't. No. All right, okay. So I get where you're coming from.
Definitely. When you have a conviction, it's non-negotiable. That's what we're saying in a nutshell. It's non-negotiable. You even agree. And when they say agree to disagree, we understand people are saying, we both can move forward, and if we both could have it, then let's just move forward. But we're talking about same destination things. Obviously, in certain instances, you could agree to disagree. For the most part, I mean, it shouldn't be a practice. Shouldn't be a common practice. So those are things we all need to think about. Those are things we all need to consider. Those are things we need to be convicted in. Because at the end of the day, when you're dealing with, we saying judgment always gets a bad rap because we hear a bunch of people and we hear it just floating, like, don't judge me, don't judge me, don't judge me. We hear a bunch of friends saying that to each other. We see people playing with it, and and it's just like, really, we gonna judge you? Like it's a common theme, it's a common practice, and it's a healthy practice.
Or people holding back because they think they're doing the other person a favor.
Definitely.
And I think that that's really important too. Like, you're not doing me a favor by not being honest with me about what you really feel about what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, it goes both ways. Like, people should, embrace being judged. People should be open with who they are. People should be open about what they want. And I think that if people were a little bit more honest in those areas, then they will pick more people that are more like-minded than the people that they usually are around.
Yeah, definitely. And don't take our advice believing you're gonna get more friends.
1,000 friends, no, by far.
Like, that's who we're not.
No,
we're not helping you become popular.
Yeah, no.
So anybody that's ready to really have these discussions, join the discussions, they listen to our podcast, come to our sessions, we let them know right off, you're not going to be well liked.
Yeah.
It's not going to be what we're looking at, but you're going to build healthy and equal relationships. And then doing that is going to take a grind. And then doing that, you're going to have to ask a lot of tough questions. And doing that, you're going to have to be in people's business. And doing that, and a lot of people are going to be on the defensive, and you're going to lose a lot of people before you gain people.
Well, yeah, it's going to feel horrible. It's like it's going to feel horrible before it feels better.
It's like shooting with your left hand when you were right.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel normal. You're used to a certain thing. You're used to a lot of bad habits.
Great analogy.
It's going to feel bad. It's going to feel horrible. Well, I know who I'm talking to, so I know analogy. I know
he knows. He said who he knows he's talking to.
I know what analogy.
Yeah, it's a great analogy. Then when you finally get it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm saying that's where we all need to understand. Like, change is going to be a definite, but the whole point of a relationship is to maintain what you signed on for. So don't commit until the agreement is X'd in blood and you believe these things will help us flourish for a lifetime. Don't make short-term commitments. Make long-term agreements. And when you make long-term agreements, you spend a lifetime holding each other to those agreements. So everybody that's talking growth, it's about maintenance. Maintain the standard you came in. Don't go out the gate sending 10 dozens of flowers and come out the gate hard, or showing up to all your friends' events, and don't come out the gate hard and you can't maintain that.
Yeah.
Give them a realistic understanding of where you're trying to go and the time you can give them. Give them a realistic understanding of where you want to go in your future. Give them a realistic understanding. That's why take time to be in a relationship. That's why they say fools jump in. Because you should take time to be in a relationship. All these movies about the emotion allowing your relationships to flourish, it's not going to be the case.
Yeah.
The principle.
It's going to get you nowhere fast.
Sex for a little while, like, yeah, you're going to get to a point where sex lessens. Why? Because it's less about the physical and more about the spiritual. You get to a point where it's the spiritual portion of it feeds you enough where you're just like, we can have sex to show that we still are spiritually connected, but you're really into the spiritual part of it. When you're with friends forever, you understand, like, yo, you coming with your kids. Like, we invited people places and they like, I gotta get a babysitter. We like
why? Yeah.
Like, when you come with your kids. Why are we doing things that don't involve everything you come with?
Yeah.
Now, we have an adult time, I get it, here and there, but for the most part, it's an expectation. Yes. Dale, nice to see you as well. Nice to see you as well. I see you. But that's my expectation, is for us to, really be on the same page. And that's the destination. Love is the destination.
Yeah.
On the prize. Put blinders on. Stay focused on the people you're committed to. Don't sell them short by thinking that you're going to, I'm going to go hang out with this person and think that it's not going to cause you havoc in your relationship. The person is not like-minded. There's going to be 3 people looking at you like, okay, why are you around that person? They're not controlling you. They're holding you accountable.
Yes, for who you say you are.
Controlling things a little too loosely, they're holding you accountable. They are going to tell you who you can hang out with, who you can be friends with. They are telling you that not because they're telling you it, but based on your principles, based on your agreement. based on the things you're already committed to, based on the fact that you have a child with them. All them things come about. When you're ready to be an adult, and when I heard you use the word adult to intelligent adults, when you're ready to use the word adult, understand that comes with understanding that responsibility is something you graduate to. And it is a duty.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just everything you want to do anymore. It's what's necessary to allow your relationships to flourish. And having that priority, like, oh boy, my relationship come first. People ask me to go play ball, I gotta ask a few people before I can go.
Yeah.
People ask me to go out with them, I'm like, I gotta ask a few people, make sure that they okay, make sure they're not doing certain things before I can move on.
It's a responsibility. It's a responsibility.
So, you know, this has been a segment on judgment. And I think it's important that people understand, like, go out in this world and allow the judgment, listen to the judgments.
Yeah, provide your own feedback, embrace it. Have those conversations, because if you are in a relationship and you're avoiding judgment, then you're not going to have the solid foundation that you say you want if you continue to have relationships like that.
Definitely see if it's applicable. If it's not, move on. If it is, you know, accept it and make the changes.
Mm-hmm.
Judgment is supposed to change us to make us better. Even when you're getting, let's say, even when you're supposed to be going to jail, we could have a whole argument about the jail system, but even when even when that's the case, you're supposed to do your time, you're being judged so you can be a better person. It's about being reformed. So understand, somebody's pointing something out to you so you can improve it, or they're pointing something out to you because they enjoy it about you, but it's all judgment. All right. So, you know, it's been lovely.
Yeah, check us out on accountable.love.com. We have, you know, our podcast, we have blogs on there. We have joined the discussion on there as well. We go live every Monday, so tune in. I see a lot of people joined in at the end, so thank you guys for joining in. Just let us know if you guys have any topics that you want us to discuss. Hit us in the inbox. That's it. See you guys next Monday.
Definitely.